Alrighty, we're looking at Computer Science Discoveries, Unit 2, Chapter 2, Lesson 11, and we're going to be looking at bubbles 2 and 3 today. It's just a quick little introduction of how CSS works. So let's get into it. It says to look through the page below for new styles. Open the style sheet and with a partner, but since we're quarantined, looking at this with you over the video, discuss which parts of the CSS code you think are making the page appear different. What makes the entire page appear blue? How are the images positioned to the left of all of the other elements? And what made the image corners rounded? So I want what makes the whole thing blue. I can see that the page is blue there. How are the images positioned to the left of all the other elements? If you look, the image on all of these things here, it's all to the left. And then finally, what made the images rounded? So let's go through this. Over here, I got all of my HTML, and it says to go to the style sheet, right? Here's all the content. Nothing here looks different than anything we might have done in the past about putting content in, but we never had all these colors or this fancy font or these rounded edges. The style sheet is where all that happens. So your style sheet has a body part, and it has this H1 part, H2 part. You get to decide when you're making your style sheet, and you'll see that as you go further through this lesson, the parts that you want to edit. But basically what the style sheet says is, here's a tag type, body. So anytime I'm inside of the body tag, which starts there and ends down over there, this style is going to be true. Everything inside the body is going to have a background color of light blue. So that's where that first question is, right? The background color is light blue because I said my body, everything is light blue. Everything inside of an H1. So let's go back to our HTML here. If I'm inside of an H1 tag, this deserts of the world, the style page says, I want the color to be saddle brown, which is that color over there, and I want the font family to be sans serif, as opposed to this looks a little more Times New Roman, and this looks like, I don't know what the name of that font is over there. And this is what a style sheet does, is you tell it which type of tag you want to be messing with, and then you tell it like what to do when I'm in that type of tag. So let's see, our other questions were, what made the images position to the left? So if I'm looking for what makes the images position to the left, or what makes the image corners round, I'm going to go look at my image tag over here. And so what this means is back in my HTML page, anywhere I see an image plopped into my website, that it's going to be following all of these style rules. It says float to the left, and that's the only thing that I see about left to right there, so that must be the command that makes all of these images pop over to the left. I wonder, is this, I think in the little camera down there, when I say pop, when I move to the left, my head moves to the right. Whatever, it might be backwards, it's okay. So, where was I even going anymore? What else did we want? We wanted why the corners of the images are rounded. This says that the width and the margin, the width is 250 pixels. So that's interesting. That's probably why all these images are the exact same size. That's how we can change the size of our images. The margins are 10 pixels. Border color I see is solid brown. What does the margin mean? Border width is 4 pixels. Border style solid, border radius 10 pixels. So let's like mess around with some of these different things over here and see what's up. So the margin, let's play around with that. I've got it at 10 pixels right now. If I switch it to 100, you can find, oh, look at that. That's the amount of space, right? This image is now experiencing some social distancing because I increased the margin. So it's easy. It's as easy as that to figure out what each of these things do. Let's check the border width. So if I go from 4 to 40, okay, border width is how wide the border is. That makes sense. The border style solid, maybe this is what makes it go rounded. If I even just get rid of this border style, just like boom, get rid of it. No, it got rid of the border, but it's still rounded there. Let's see. What? How did we make these images rounded? Now I'm... Huh? Left. That's the only thing I got an image. Could it possibly be in my HTML? Doesn't look like it's in my HTML. Oh, this is gross. Look at this. We gotta fix that. It's gotta be indented nicely. Aha. Maybe in my paragraph. No. Sans serif. Light saddle brown. If we get rid of all the border stuff. Boom. Aha. Got rid of all the border stuff. It did get sharper there. Man, it's been a while since I did this. Clearly, like, I'm not acting here. I forgot. So, let's play with each one. I don't think the border color is going to make it, like, circular. What happens if I get rid of the border color? Is it default to black? That makes sense. The border width, if I get rid of the border width, it didn't really change much. Maybe if I have any kind of border, it defaults to some width, and this 4 is just saying explicitly I want it 4 pixels. Get rid of the border radius command. Aha, that looks like that's what it's doing. This border radius is making the curved edges. So let's play around with, well, first of all, let me get my saddle brown color back in there, making it match with the rest of the page there. If I change my border radius to 1 pixel from 10, that gets rid of all, it's back to crisp corners there, right? If I make it 10, it kind of rounds it. If I make it 100, it totally kind of circulars it. That's pretty cool. That's a neat little thing there. I almost like these little like pill-shaped images a little bit more. So boom, there it is, right? You got to play around with it a little bit. It's okay, right? Like if you don't know what is going on here, that's the whole reason that they have these bubbles, is for you to just kind of play around and see what happens. We're going to go to bubble 3 now, because I think we answered all of their questions, right? Let's see if we can remember. What makes the entire page blue? Inside my CSS over here, hey, don't do that. Inside my CSS over here, I made the background color light blue. What makes them position to the left? I've got this float left. Oh, did we even play with that? We just assumed that's what it was. If I get rid of this float left, what's going to happen? It is still on the left, but all of the image, like the text is not to the side anymore, right? Put that float left back in, boom, the text is to the side. If I put float right, how much is this going to change it? Oh, it goes to the right. Okay, so yes. Image is positioned to the left. That's because we had float left. What made the image's corners rounded, there's a nice little addition there, if I don't say so, is that border radius command. Why did it do that again? That border radius command right over there. All right, let's get to bubble 3. Let's get moving. I'm spending a lot of time on this video. So, what's this asking us to do? Bubble 3 says, stop. Bubble 3 says, find the code in the style sheet that is making the background of the entire page light blue. Change that code to make the page a different color. So, well, we already saw this in the last one. Actually, I didn't even test that one, did I? Well, we'll test it now. Instead of light blue, let's do red. Ooh, I don't like that. It's that's crazy. Maybe I do an Indian red. That's a little better. I kind of like the light blue more. So boom, we change it to a different color. And now it says try to change the background color of just the paragraphs. Well, if I go down to my paragraph tag over here, and what changed the color? In body, I said background color. So if I do this, hey, why is it doing that? I guess I need to highlight it without pressing any fancy buttons on my keyboard. If I take this background color from body and put it into the paragraph tag, sorry about that if you hear a siren. That's like super post-apocalyptic, huh? Okay, let's keep learning our HTML and CSS, guys. And so, all right, I put my background color inside of the paragraph tag. And then put my background color inside the paragraph tag. And instead of Indian red, if I switch this back to light blue, boom, my paragraphs, the things in my HTML that are paragraphs, they now have a light blue background. So that's showing more that like these different tags over here. Why is it not scrolling anymore? What's going on here? These different tags over here change. Oh, it's not scrolling because there's nowhere to scroll. I'm going crazy. So body, the whole thing is Indian red, but then when I have a paragraph, the paragraphs are Indian red, right? So if I go back to my HTML, Ras Malai is made from a sweet. That is inside of 2 paragraph tags. And since on my style sheet, it said my paragraph tags are going to have a light blue background, whenever that showed up on the screen, it was light blue. There's one thing that I want to mention that is probably talked about more in these later bubbles, but I feel like it's worth mentioning in case you're coming to this video for issues with this lesson, is you have your HTML all over here with all of your content. Your style sheet here says what the different parts of your website, my header 1s, my header 2s, my images, my paragraphs, what style I want to add to those. The coloring, the font style, this crazy, like certain, making the edges of my images be circular. You need to tell the computer, you can't just put the style sheet in and assume it's going to work. You need to tell the computer which style sheet to use. So in your index HTML, and here we're finally using it for our first time, the head tag, right? Before, everything we ever did was inside of body. Now, to get our style to work, inside of the head portion, which before we weren't allowed to touch, inside the head portion, we need to have this new link tag. Why does it keep doing that whenever I try to select the whole thing? We need to have this new link tag, and that tells us which style sheet we're using. So inside of my head, I'm going to say the link for this HTML, the relationship is that it's going to be a style sheet. There are other links you can make. So the type of link that this is a style sheet relationship. And the href is my style.css file over here. And that's what tells the browser or the computer, whatever, I won't get into that, where I'm getting the style for this content inside of my HTML is. If you have more than one page on your website, multiple .html files, you can have multiple different style sheets, right? You could say homepage.css and style2.css and whatever, and the links can reference different style sheets. Oh, I have to stop doing that. It's just so second nature. The links can go to different style sheets so that every page in your website can have some slightly different style to it. That was me talking a lot for the last bit. I hope this helped if you were having issues with this lesson. If you have more issues, let me know and I can go into more depth in some of the later bubbles, but I still want you to be able to figure out the rest on your own. Cool. Hopefully that was useful.